Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling, right? Just endlessly scrolling through social media. And you get caught in that weird feeling. You see amazing stuff people are doing. You feel kind of inspired, but then there's also this little bit of frustration creeping in. Like you start wondering, is there a best version of me hiding somewhere? Am I missing out? Especially when you're comparing your everyday life to those super polished posts online. Well, if that sounds familiar, stick around. Because this deep dive, it's really not about becoming some clone of somebody else. Our mission today, I think, is way more personal and honestly more exciting than that.
Exactly. It's all about your path, your unique journey to becoming, let's call it, your flourishing self. It really comes down to aligning with what truly, genuinely matters to you, not chasing some external ideal someone else set. So today we're going to unpack what well-being and personal growth actually means. We'll look at some psychology, some really practical habits, and the power of mindset. The whole idea is to give you some concrete steps, things you can actually do to live more fully, more authentically, starting right now.
Okay, so well-being, your best self. I think a lot of us instantly think, oh, that means being happy 24/7. That can't be right, can it? What's the deeper thing we're actually aiming for here, beyond just like a constant smile?
Yeah, that's a super important distinction to make right off the bat. True psychological well-being, it's much bigger than just fleeting happiness or always feeling cheerful. It's more about what some philosophers call living virtuously, which sounds maybe a bit old-fashioned, but it basically means finding a sustainable kind of balance and fulfillment in your life. There's this fantastic framework, really groundbreaking work by Carol Ruth, her 6-factor model of psychological well-being. And what's so interesting isn't just listing the factors, but seeing how they all, connect and work together. It creates this whole picture of contentment. It's not about checking boxes one by one.
Okay, so they're interconnected, not just separate things to work on. How did these 6 factors actually show up? What does that look like when they're working together?
Precisely. They weave together. Let me just touch on them quickly. You'll see what I mean. First up is self-acceptance. This is basically having a positive or at least accepting attitude toward yourself, flaws and all. It's like being able to say, yeah, I like most parts of who I am. Then there's personal growth. This isn't about arriving somewhere perfect. It's the opposite, really. It's about always developing, being open to new experiences, and seeing yourself improve over time. You might think something like, it's really important to have new experiences that challenge how I see things, how I see myself in the world.
Okay, self-acceptance, personal growth. Well,
third is purpose in life. This isn't just having goals like get a promotion. It's deeper. It's a real conviction that your life has meaning, that it has direction. You might feel, some people seem to just drift, but I feel like I know where I'm headed, that kind of thing. Next, number 4, positive relations with others. This is all about having meaningful connections, relationships built on empathy, trust, real affection. It might look like, people describing you as someone who's giving, willing to share your time.
Right. Those deep connections.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Then 5th is autonomy. This is about your independence, your ability to make your own choices and guide your own behavior, even if it goes against the grain or social pressure. It's having that inner confidence, like I trust my own opinions, even if they're not popular. And finally, number 6, environmental mastery. This sounds a bit technical, but it just means feeling like you can manage your daily life effectively, making use of opportunities, feeling kind of in charge of your situation, creating circumstances that work for you, like feeling, generally I feel like I'm handling things in my life. So connecting all these back to becoming your flourishing self, it's about really getting to know your values, your strengths, even your weaknesses, and then making choices that line up with that unique picture.
Wow. Okay. That's a really comprehensive way to look at it. 6 factors. It sounds incredibly valuable, but I can also see how someone might hear that and think, whoa, that's a lot. It sounds like, it takes real dedication. How do we actually do this? How do we go from understanding these ideas to, actually living them day to day? What's the bridge?
You've absolutely nailed the key challenge there. Moving from knowing something intellectually to actually embodying it, sustainable well-being, it isn't just going to happen to us. It definitely takes consistent effort, dedication, and daily practice. It's like building a muscle. And this is where the idea of happy habits becomes so powerful. They're like these reliable tools, almost like little hacks for your brain, because they actually help rewire it over time.
Happy habits. I like the sound of that. What are some of these essential ones?
Okay, let's break down 5 key ones. First, gratitude. Now, everyone talks about gratitude journals, right? But the really deep insight here isn't just feeling thankful occasionally. It's how practicing gratitude actively retrains your brain. It helps counteract our natural tendency to focus on the negative. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. So it literally trains your mind for more optimism, even when things are tough. I actually had a friend. It was a really difficult situation. He was given just weeks to live, tragically. Doctors were suggesting hospice. But when I went to see him, I was just amazed by how calm and, well, genuinely in good spirits he seemed. He told me he was just deeply grateful for the time he did have left and was determined to really live it. He decided against hospice, went home, and actually lived for several more months, much longer than anyone expected. It really felt like his genuine gratitude, even facing something so huge, made a real difference. It was profound.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful. What an example.
It really was. Okay, so the second habit, acts of service, helping other people. It gives you this undeniable boost in happiness. And when you're kind of stuck in your own head, worrying about your own problems, doing something for someone else is such a powerful way to shift your focus. It reminds you that, others might be facing even tougher things. And it builds kindness and compassion, which are just essential for feeling good long term. Third is self-care. And this isn't just bubble baths and spa days, though those can be nice. Studies show real self-care directly lowers stress hormones, like cortisol. Chronic stress can literally change your brain's emotional centers over time. So self-care is any activity that truly nourishes you, lowers stress, refreshes you. Could be exercise, gardening, a long walk, listening to music you love. It's absolutely crucial for preventing burnout. And it's important to know the difference between genuine self-care and just, say, numbing out.
That's a good point. What are the last two?
Fourth, friendship. Really cultivating quality friendships. It sounds obvious, but in our busy lives, it takes effort. True friends, people you can really count on, they are such a vital resource. They buffer against loneliness, which we know is a huge drag on happiness. And the fifth habit is creativity. Just unplugging from all the screens and doing something creative. Painting, photography, writing, dancing, playing music, whatever it is for you. It's like a gift you give your brain. It taps into different ways of thinking and can lead to that amazing feeling of flow and real satisfaction.
That story about your friend, that really hits home. It shows how much our inner state can, shape our reality. But it makes me think, what about someone who just can't find that gratitude? Someone who feels really stuck in negativity? What's like the tiniest first step they could possibly take? And how does that link up with the way we think about things generally?
Yeah.
Is there mindset piece here?
Oh, absolutely. That's a brilliant question because it leads us straight into mindset. The bedrock for all these habits, even for taking that tiny first step towards gratitude when it feels impossible, it's what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset. This is the core belief that your abilities, your intelligence, they aren't just fixed traits you're born with. They can actually be developed, grown through effort, through learning, through dedication. It's the complete opposite of a fixed mindset where you believe, I'm either good at this or I'm not, and that's just how it is.
Right. I've heard about this, growth versus fixed. Why is that difference so critical for this journey?
It's crucial because a growth mindset fundamentally fuels resilience. It helps you learn better, and ultimately, it drives success. It completely changes how you see challenges. Instead of seeing them as, proof you're not good enough, you see them as opportunities to learn, to stretch yourself, to expand. People with a growth mindset understand that getting outside your comfort zone, putting in the effort, even learning from things that don't work out, what we might call failures, are all just necessary parts of the process. And the best part, it's not something you're just born with or not. It's a perspective you can actively, consciously choose to develop. So instead of that thought, I can't do this, you train yourself to ask, okay, what can I learn here? How can this experience help me grow? That mental shift, that reframing, it's incredibly powerful.
Okay, so this is really where it gets practical, isn't it? This is the how-to. For you listening right now, how can you actually start taking some concrete steps? Starting today on this path to becoming, more authentically you.
Exactly. This is where the rubber meets the road. It starts with getting clear and then taking small, intentional actions. So step 1, get really clear on what your flourishing self actually means to you. Forget comparisons. This is about looking inward. Try visualizing your ideal self. How does she act? How does he show up each day? What are their priorities? A vision board sounds a bit cheesy maybe, but it can be surprisingly helpful here. And then do an honest check-in. Rate your satisfaction in different areas of your life, work, relationships, health, finances, whatever matters to you maybe on a scale of 1 to 10. This really helps you pinpoint where you want to focus your energy first, where you'll get the most impact.
Okay, so clarity first, then what?
Then step 2, Set actionable and value-driven goals. The absolute key here is small. Avoid trying to change everything at once that just leads to overwhelm and burnout. Aim for maybe 5 small, manageable goals. And for each one, define a specific action you can take daily, weekly, or monthly. So if your goal is, say, cultivate a more positive mindset, your action might be, every evening before bed, I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for today. Let's see. Specific, tangible, doable.
Small steps, concrete actions.
Got it. Third, build healthy habits to sustain your best self. Think of habits as your best friend for long-term change. Why? Because they run on autopilot. They don't need constant motivation or willpower, which we know runs out. So start weaving those essential habits we talked about into your daily routines. Maybe it's 5 minutes of deep breathing when you wake up, making one healthier food choice at lunch, a short walk, journaling 1 sentence, prioritizing sleep, aiming for at least 7 hours, reading just a few pages daily, making time even just 15 minutes for a hobby. These small, consistent actions, they compound. They literally start to reshape who you are over time.
That consistency piece feels really important. What else?
Fourth, and this one's often missed, but it's crucial, recognize the trade-offs. Every time you say yes to something new, a new goal, a new habit, you are inherently saying no to something else. You have to be real about that. So identify your top goals, the changes you want to make. Then ask yourself, what will I likely have to give up or do less of to make space for this? And this is important. What fears might come up around that sacrifice? For example, maybe waking up at 6 a.m. for that meditation means saying no to hitting snooze or watching that extra episode late at night. The fear might be, I won't have enough time to relax. Just acknowledging those trade-offs and fears up front makes them way less likely to derail you later.
The hidden costs. That makes a lot of sense. And the last step.
And fifth, track your progress and check in with yourself regularly. Keeping track, maybe with a simple habit tracker app or just a notebook, gives you visible proof that you're making progress. That builds confidence. But equally important is checking in with yourself. Ask, do these goals still feel right for me? Have my priorities shifted? Am I feeling aligned with this path? Your journey isn't set in stone, it's dynamic. Being open to adjusting your course is key to making sure it stays authentic and genuinely fulfilling for you.
This whole process sounds incredibly rewarding, full of potential for real growth and purpose. But let's get real for a second. It's not always going to be easy, right? Life happens. What about those obstacles, those challenges that inevitably crop up? How do we handle those, especially when maybe that initial burst of motivation starts to fade?
That's such a vital question to address because yes, challenges will come up. It's guaranteed. The trick isn't avoiding them. It's learning how to navigate them effectively. Think of obstacles not as signs to stop, but as valuable feedback. Data points, opportunities to learn something or maybe adjust your approach, and the absolute foundation for navigating them. It comes back to that growth mindset we talked about, really internalizing it, consciously choosing to view challenges not as brick walls, but as hurdles you can learn to overcome. That perspective shift changes everything.
Okay, so mindset first. What else helps when we hit a snag?
Next, really try to reframe failure. Don't fear it. See it not as some final negative verdict on you, but simply as part of the learning process, a stepping stone. Honestly, every time something doesn't work out, you've learned something valuable about what doesn't work, which brings you closer to finding what does. It takes courage to even try. Also, we need to tackle procrastination. It often pops up when we feel overwhelmed or scared. So try to figure out the root cause. Is it fear of failure, perfectionism, feeling unsure where to start? Then break things down into smaller steps. Set clear deadlines for those tiny steps, develop a routine, and practice that muscle of self-discipline. It's about being proactive, not just reactive to deadlines.
Being kind to ourselves must fit in here somewhere too.
Absolutely. Be gentle and kind to yourself. That inner critic can be so loud, right? But often that harshness is actually a weird, misguided attempt at self-protection trying to stop you from failing or getting hurt. Counteract it consciously. Use positive affirmations. Practice self-acceptance. Treat yourself with the same compassion you'd offer a friend. And related to that, try to seek out constructive feedback. This can be tough, but viewing feedback not as a personal attack, but as a gift information that can highlight blind spots you can't see yourself, makes it an incredibly valuable tool for growth. And finally, think about who you spend time with. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Being around others who also embrace challenges, who are resilient, who support growth. That energy is contagious. It can really inspire and motivate you on your own path.
That makes sense. Your environment matters.
It really does. And speaking of connections and deeper layers, there's another dimension of well-being that often gets overlooked, but it's incredibly important. It connects us to something bigger than just our individual selves, and that's our sense of spirituality. Now, this doesn't have to mean a formal religion, though it can for some. It's broader than that. It's about feeling connected to something greater than yourself, whether that's nature, humanity, the universe, a higher power. It's about having values and beliefs that give your life a sense of purpose and meaning that help guide your actions.
And how does that connect to well-being practically?
Well, the research here is pretty compelling. Higher levels of spirituality are consistently linked with things like more optimism, feeling like you have strong social support, being more resilient when stress hits, and experiencing lower levels of anxiety. And spiritual self-care doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple things, maybe daily meditation or yoga, even just for a few minutes. Mindful walking, really paying attention to nature around you, connecting with a community that shares your values, journaling about your deeper thoughts and feelings, reading things that inspire you, spending time in nature, unplugging from technology regularly, practicing gratitude and forgiveness, those come in here too. Ultimately, psychologists have identified these three key character traits that are really essential for consistent emotional well-being and deep resilience. Self-directedness, like autonomy, cooperativeness, positive relations, and self-transcendence, which really encompasses this spiritual dimension. Developing all three is key.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground from the big picture of well-being down to daily habits and mindset shifts, and now this spiritual dimension. So if we try to pull this all together, what's the main takeaway? What does this journey of becoming your best self really mean in the end?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this journey isn't about chasing some mythical state of perfection. It's definitely not about trying to become someone you're not or living up to someone else's expectations. It's really about embracing continuous growth, learning, and becoming more authentically aligned with your unique values, your purpose. The core ideas are pretty clear now, I hope. Sustainable happiness isn't passive. It's actively cultivated through those consistent, healthy habits. A growth mindset truly changes the game. It turns obstacles into fuel. And genuine, holistic well-being means tending to all parts of yourself, your mind, your body, your connections, and yes, that deeper spiritual dimension too. It's a journey. It's going to be beautiful sometimes, messy other times, and that's okay. It's perfectly imperfect. Every single conscious step you take, no matter how small, is moving you in the right direction.
Beautifully put. Progress, not perfection. That really resonates. So as we wrap up, maybe the question for you listening right now is this. What's just one small intentional step you can commit to taking today? One small thing to fuel your unique journey towards becoming more authentically you. Always remembering, like we said, progress is the goal, not some impossible finish line.